Hello and welcome to another tutorial for Excel users. In this tutorial we're going to start looking at creating charts in Excel. I want the chart to show me a side-by-side comparison of how each film is doing in terms of the number of rentals. The first thing to do is to select the titles and the data that I would like to appear on the chart. So I'm going to select everything from cell A3 down to A10, which are my movie titles. And now I'm going to hold down the Command key on the keyboard, and that's so I can skip column B and select the information in column C, which are my rentals quantity. So that's everything from C3 down to C10. So I've got two ranges selected there for my chart. And then I go to the Insert tab and come across roughly to the middle of that tab, and you'll see the chart section here. I'm going to click on the drop down arrow on the column chart button there and choose the very first option, which is clustered column chart. So if I click on that, you may notice two things. First of all, I have the chart now on the spreadsheet, but also above that you can see we have two new tabs, Chart Design and Format, and we'll come back to those later on. First of all, we'll look at moving and resizing the chart. Now, if I put the mouse pointer into the chart itself, what I want you to observe is there are a number of labels that pop up. The first one there you can see is chart area. If I move the mouse pointer down a bit further, you'll see that changes to plot area. And if I just put the mouse pointer over one of those horizontal lines, you can see we get the vertical axis major grid line. If I put the mouse pointer over one of the bars there, you'll see it says series and the details for that particular bar. And so a chart consists of a number of separate elements, and it's important to know that when it comes to moving a chart, because you can only move a chart provided you're clicking onto the chart area. So what I'll do to demonstrate that is click away from the chart first of all, and I'll move back onto the chart. And if I was about to move it, I might reasonably put the mouse pointer into the middle of the chart and then click and drag, but as you can see nothing's happening because I've accidentally clicked on the grid lines. So let's do it properly this time. Again, I'll click away, and now if I move the mouse pointer back towards the chart, I need to check that the words chart area appear. As soon as I have chart area, I can click and drag, and now I can move the chart. So only clicking in the chart area will enable you to move the chart to relocate it. When the chart is selected, you'll notice these little buttons around the edge, and these are basically drag handles to enable you to resize the chart. So for example, this one here on the right hand side in the middle, you'll see where I move the mouse pointer over it, we get a two-way arrow. I can then click and drag to reduce the size of the chart, or click and drag right in this case to expand the chart width. I can also go to a corner handle here, the drag handle in the corner, the bottom right. Click and drag, and you'll see I can change the size of the chart horizontally or vertically as I desire. So if I release the mouse button now, you'll see it's being resized, and it doesn't look very good, so I resize it the other way again. Now this time I'm going to hold down the Shift key on the keyboard while I do that, and if I hold the Shift key down and then drag so it constrains the proportion, that's useful if you need to maintain the aspect ratio of the chart after formatting. So I'm going to resize it, click and drag, and if I release the mouse button and then release the Shift key, you'll see I've resized the chart in proportion there. Before I begin formatting, I'm going to move the chart to a more central position on the worksheet there. So if I just click and drag, and now I'm going to apply formatting to my axis label. So I've got a horizontal category axis with my movie titles, and also a vertical axis with the values there that correspond to the rentals or the rentals quantity. Now remember that each part of the chart is a separate element, so if you want to apply formatting, it's as simple as pointing and clicking on the thing that you want to change. So I want to format my titles here on the horizontal axis, so I simply point and click. You'll see a box now surrounding the category axis indicating it's now selected. I can then go back to the Home tab, and I can use the standard font tools here to apply formatting. So all I want to do really is maybe make the font a little bit larger and apply bold formatting. So first of all, if I click on the B for bold, you'll see that's immediately applied. And I can either change the font size by clicking on the drop down arrow and selecting a size from the options here, or I can use these up and down font size buttons. So if I click the increase font button once, you'll see there the font size increases. And now I'm going to format the vertical axis. So again, simply click on the axis there. You'll see again the box indicates the selection. I'm going to change the font size to 10. So click on the increase size button once, and again apply the bold formatting by clicking the B for bold. Next, I'm going to apply some formatting to the background of the chart. And with the chart selected, I'm going to click on the Format tab. To make sure I'm going to format the right thing, I need to make sure that the chart area is selected. At the moment, the axis is still highlighted, as you can see. But over on the left side of that Format tab, you'll see this drop down arrow, and you can double check you've selected the right thing by simply choosing whatever it is you want to apply formatting to. So here I'm going to select chart area in that drop down list. And I can apply background color by using either the shape styles option here or shape fill. I'm going to click on the shape fill, and you can see some colors here under the theme colors and standard colors. I'm going to go right the way down to textures, and in the texture options I'm going to choose this light color here, which is called stationary. So if I click on that, you'll see there it applies that to my chart area. I'm also going to apply a different color to the plot area, and first I'm going to select the plot area simply by making sure plot area appears when I put the mouse pointer over that part of the chart, and then click to select. And with plot area selected, I'm going to again go to the shape fill option and choose a light blue background. And while I've got the plot area selected, I'm going to increase the size of the plot area by simply putting the mouse pointer over the center drag handle there on the top line, click and drag, and that will increase the size of my plot area. Next, I'd like to increase the width of the bars on the chart, and to do that I'm going to right click on any one of the existing bars and click on Format Data Series. When you do that, you'll notice some options appear in a sidebar on the right, and you'll see you have three options here. You can change the fill color, in other words the colors of the bar. You can also add some effects to the bar, but what I want to do is use the options here, the series options. And it's this gap width option. At the moment you'll see it's 219%. I'm going to reduce that. Now if I just move this slider, click and drag, and if I click and drag left and then release the mouse button, you'll notice the bars getting increasingly wider and the gap getting increasingly smaller. So what I'm actually going to do is set that to 90%, and I can do that by actually clicking and dragging on the existing value, simply typing 90, press the enter key, and the bars are set to the width that I'm happy with. I'm going to leave the sidebar as it is for now, and I'm going to add some data labels to the bars now. Now you can always actually find out what the value of each bar is simply by hovering the mouse pointer over the column, for example here, and you'll see here in this case the value for Raiders of the Lost Ark is 16. If I come across to the next one along 2001, you'll see the value is 9. But I would still like to have those labels appearing on each column. So to do that, all I need to do again is right mouse click on the column, and in that shortcut menu you'll see there's an option there to add data labels, and you'll see that immediately those numbers appear above each column. Now what I'd like to have happen is that those numbers appear within the column. So what I need to do here again is right click on the column, choose Format Data Labels, and you'll see there that the data labels are now selected. And the options in the sidebar have now changed as well, so I now have Format Data Labels as my sidebar title, and down at the bottom I have this thing called Label Position, and I have Center, Inside End, Inside Base, and Outside End. You can see basically where they are now is outside the end of the column, and I want it inside the end of the column. So if I click on that, you'll see they move down into the column at the top, just where I want them. But it's hard to see them now because I've got black text against a dark blue background. I can apply new formatting from within the sidebar here by clicking the Text Options button. So if I select that, and under Text Fill, and if you don't see all the details by the way, you'll see there's a little arrow there. You can click on the arrow to open up the options or close the options. So again, I'll just open those up. Make sure I have Solid Fill selected, and where the small paint bucket option is there, click on the drop down arrow and I can choose the colour for the text, and I'm going to use this bright yellow. and the new colour has been applied. I can also apply some additional formatting by going back to the Home tab. Again, just make sure that those data labels are still selected. And if I click on the bold button there, and I can also change the size from here as well if I'd like to, just by clicking the increase font size button there, make them stand out much more clearly. Maybe reduce them back a wee bit to 12. I'm going to come across and close that sidebar just by clicking on the close button there, the X in the top right. And one final thing I'll do here is just apply some formatting to my chart title. So if I click on that to select, again I'll go back to the Format tab and I'll just choose in Shape Styles, click on the drop down, and we'll maybe choose something in here again, maybe white text on a blue background. I can also move the title just by clicking and dragging if I'd rather have the title in a different location. So if I just click away from the chart now, there you'll see the completed chart. I'll need to move it again, of course, because it's obscuring my worksheet data. So again, remember, you need to click on the chart area when you're moving. So just move the mouse pointer onto the chart. Make sure you have the chart area label, and then you can click and drag to relocate the chart. So I'll drag it just to the right of the data. Release the mouse button, again to click back in the title. And there's the chart that gives me a pretty good visual representation of my data. Now of course the chart is linked to the data, so if any of my values change, the chart will update automatically. So let's just take the film Jaws there, which currently has 6 rentals. If I change that to 10, type 10, press enter, keep an eye on Jaws on the chart, and you'll see immediately that jumps up to show the new value. And finally, I'll just click the Save button again to update my file. It's always a good idea to save on a regular basis. But that completes this first look at charts in Excel. I hope you found something useful there that you can apply to the spreadsheets that you're working on. But in the meantime, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.